There's something very important happening right now that has to do with the way in which our Mother, the Earth, is waking up in us. We are all cells of the life of our Mother, the Earth. And she is ailing, she is very sick. And that has to do because the world of utility has taken over. And instead of seeing the universe as a romance between God and the divine presence immanent in creation, people have only seen the dollar signs on everything that's in nature. The Baal Shem Tov was so different than other teachers of his day. They were studying the texts that were in books, and they were so smart about those texts, they were able to find the very fine finesses between one statement and another statement, and do a kind of, how would I say, philosophical building that they called pilpul, sharp divisions between one idea and another idea, and that all led to cleverness, but it didn't lead to wisdom. The Baal Shem, on the other hand, did not study at any of these schools. He lived and studied from nature. And so he got to understand when people would say he knew the voices, he could hear the speech of birds and of the trees, which is not that they were speaking in human language. It means that he had tuned in to the frequency where they were communicating. Most people don't believe that plants can communicate with each other, but that's precisely what is happening. Aspens know that, other plants know that they communicate with each other. And so it is with all the other species, because we couldn't be in communication, in community without communication. So the Baal Shem Tov knew that. So there's this wonderful story. You're going to ask for that later on. I might as well tell it to you right now. When the person who became his successor first came to him, because the Baal Shem Tov was known as a natural healer. He knew how to deal with herbs and with other kinds of ways of getting people's bodies to be healthy again. What that meant was that the body wants to be healthy, but sometimes there are blockages, and he knew how to remove them. So the Maggid of Mezrich, Dov Ber was his name, came to the Baal Shem Tov first in order to be healed. But he also wanted to find out, what does the Baal Shem Tov know? Because people said that he had such great awareness, such great deep knowledge. So the Baal Shem Tov said to him, do you know this particular text by Rabbi Isaac Luria, who was supposed to be the greatest Kabbalist that we ever had? And he says, yes, I know this one very well. So he says, would you please read it and explain it? And he did. The Baal Shem Tov shook his head. So he says, oh, you mean the other opinion? He gives him the other opinion. The Baal Shem Tov shook his head. So he says, if you know better, then tell me. He says, stand up. And he stood up. And the Baal Shem Tov began to recite the text, and all the realities that this text spoke about became palpably visible to him. When the Maggid of Mezrich heard and saw that, and he realized that this was a teacher of an altogether different level than one would expect, and he stayed with him. So the Baal Shem Tov brought back to the book learning that which he said, go into the Word, see what the Word stood for, what was the experience, the reality for which we use these words, and stop juggling words, but go to what the Word refers to. In some way, he was the beginning of a kind of, how would I say, essential semantics.